Say a bigger number.
45.
$998, $999, $1,000. Oh. You guys ready to do a podcast?
No, but I don't feel like I have any other choice.
I have no idea what today's about to bring. I wonder if any Super Bowl champion has ever benched their left tackle in 2 different games in the same season.
Everywhere.
Lights come on. I need to see it, Omar.
Someone
Show
is
it.
getting snapped.
Show it.
Jazz and I have been married for 17 years.
So, Nate, what do you think about...
I don't know what to tell all you guys in the live stream here. If you're watching the show on the KCSN YouTube channel, you may feel like you just saw a ghost or a UFO or something, because now the show's up and running, and Seth Keysor's in his usual box there, wearing a hoodie with a moose on it. Nate, are you hallucinating? Is that just me? Maybe I'm having a fever or something.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was drinking my coffee to ensure that this is warm and that this is a substance and this is the concrete world that we live in, and that I guess our good friend is using steroids based on what my eyes saw.
You know, you ever you remember that time when you were fishing with someone and they took a picture of a fish and you were there with them and you knew that was about a 1-pound bass. And then you looked at that picture later on and you were like, why does that thing look like it's a 19-pound something? The magic of the camera is real, my friends.
More like a 19-pound ass.
Well, we've all got the look, guys. We've all got the same 24 hours in a day, all right? If you're willing to
I just have 4 days in my day. I've got 6 hours and 6 hours and 6 hours and 6 hours, and all I do is pump iron for all of those hours.
every single one of those hours.
That guy.
If you're wondering,
that guy who said he had 3, he could press 3 days in 24 hours, and he just snapped his fingers, and you'd be like, "Whoa!" Like
Push them together.
if you're not watching the video, you're just an audio only listener, and you're wondering what it was like to watch Seth in the cold open, Google Kevin James in "Here Comes the Boom." That's who's co-hosting this podcast now.
You know what? I'll take it because
Dude, he's jacked in this. I'm looking at him here. He got swole for this.
He's middle-aged dude jacked in that. I would take Kevin James build in that. I'll work.
I think you'd take Kevin James right now.
Right. I think you've gotten to the nice stage in your life, Seth, where you have ascended even grown man strength and father time. You somehow created a new transformation in front of us, and I don't know how to necessarily comprehend everything that's going on up there in Minnesota, but maybe those winters are kind of like I don't know. I mean, I want to make a Dragon Ball Z reference, but I don't know if everybody will get it. So those Minnesota winters must do wonders for the body.
2 things. The first is the other day, I carried in all the groceries in one trip from Costco.
Whoa!
Yeah. The other thing, it turns out when you're carrying around like an extra 45, 50 pounds for 15 years, your body has to adjust and is like, good Lord, we got to put on some muscle to carry this guy around. And then if you just lose some of the fat, you're like, oh, hey, there's like a muscle under there. Now, now all I need to do is gain about 40 more pounds of muscle, and I'm going to challenge Matty Lane for the most swole dude on this channel.
Oh.
I think you could challenge several Chiefs defensive linemen for a roster spot. I mean, we got people in the chat here asking for you to hop into a 3-point stance real quick. Like, I don't know what kind of explosiveness you have at this point. I don't know how many good reps you got, but I feel like you're like halfway to Mike Pennell right now.
Oh, yes. And by the way, Seth looks like McLovin with a steroid problem. I'm gonna get this haircut fixed. He didn't fade it quite as well as he needed to, and
It's still good. It's still good. No, it's all right. It's better than what you're working with for a really long time. Like, this is still a. I didn't mean that to sound so judgy. I meant that as a compliment.
My midlife crisis is just being fed by these comments. You guys are gonna have me convinced that I'm young and handsome in no time, and I'm here for it. Only weird delusions.
Yeah, why would we want to, drug test this level of content, this level of substance? I mean, why would we want to drug test that, guys? The other thing, Seth, I would recommend is, go to your own local store and get a couple mirrors, maybe get a YouTube account, and let's just see you cut your own hair. Let's see this transformation continue to evolve, right? Let's just see you getting that military buzz cut all on your own. Hey,
no, we've seen that.
Save the wife a couple bucks, just get those clippers up.
Maybe throw on 35, 40 pounds. Maybe.
Yeah, you'd be like, no, Nate, we want the hair to keep going. We want to grow the hair.
Oh, you want to grow the hair? Oh, okay. I thought we were trying to get, a little bit of a fade going there, just
on the sides. We need him to keep the lettuce up top,
to really accentuate what's going on in the bicep region. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For a second there, Seth, I just wanted you to know that Nate and I weren't just talking over you. I saw you, like, you were talking, but I wasn't getting any audio from you. So if you could just take a little bit of a looser grip on that microphone, you're choking the audio right out of the poor thing. I mean, it's still just technology.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm still getting used to my newfound strength. It turns out when you combine dad strength with eating a little bit better and working out occasionally, crazy things happen. And I got to take advantage of this before my kids get too old.
So you hopped in a hyperbolic time chamber.
He got Matt Stafford's RV.
Yeah, and put it on, what was it? 10 times gravity, 100 times normal gravity. What'd you do? Did you see Goku in there by the chance?
Saw him, slapped him around for a little bit. And, no.
Wow.
I from Tom the tomato to Bob the onion.
Awesome.
Look,
so
you guys make this show so
you guys
good.
Keep these comments up. I'm going to lose 10 more pounds and get even more built, which would not be hard to do because I'm not that built. But I might do it just for you guys because it makes for good content. I'll do anything for a bit. I really will.
Well, we got people saying like you need like the barbed wire bicep tattoo, maybe some tribal there. Like I feel like it's crazy that I'll tell you what, the range you have on your muscles right now, I feel like you are 6 months away from heart, jazz, arrow through. Like you're getting to like your Popeye evolution here.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm built weirdly like him too, so that kind of works out well.
Clearly,
make
this whole time.
Make sure you put the date of your wedding date on the tattoo so that you don't forget just how many years you and Jazz have been married. Because we are now known that you sometimes forget how long you guys have been married. You sometimes wrestle with gripping the idea that you could be married to someone for so long. You don't have any issues.
It's difficult. It's
you
difficult.
can just look
to
to your shoulder.
Yeah. I can just double check, but I got to make sure to write it like upside down kind of to where I can read it when I look at it.
Yeah,
sure. Oh, good Lord. I regret everything, but man, that was a fun 8 minutes and 40 seconds.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday. Tucker, hit the brink. Oh, sorry. No, my bad. We just started. There's a whole other group chat with me and Tucker and Nate, and we just talk about how many minutes we think we're gonna need to reinflate Seth's ego to kind of get the momentum we need in this show. And today it was 8 minutes and 45 seconds. You're really welcome. I keep waiting for you guys to start one of those group chats for me, but it doesn't seem like it's happened yet.
Well, there's a group chat about you, but
Seth, I've long assumed there are several. I think there are more than one. If I had to guess, I'd take the over on 1.5. Well, look, I have some terrible news for Terry Braden in particular, because I think the Chiefs have another candidate for assistant defensive line coach right here sitting between Nate and I. But we have some actual news here. Terry Braden, the familiar face, returning to the Chiefs after being with Nebraska last year. He's returning as the Chiefs' assistant defensive line coach. But the real news out of these last couple, that's real news, but we know him a little bit. The real kind of out of left field is that the Chiefs do have a new running backs coach. It is not the return of Dylan McCullough. I guess he's currently still in Vegas, and it seems like that's where the wind's blown, that he'll stay there. But Demarco Murray, that Demarco Murray, after spending some time coaching at Oklahoma, he is reportedly the Chiefs' new running backs coach. He's been coaching in college since 2019. I thought it was interesting. Our friend Matt Derrick noted that there had been some other NFL interest kind of sniffing around Demarco Murray over, I think he was kind of saying here, maybe the last couple of years. I think there are a lot of reasons this hire is super interesting. I also, as someone who has deleted the Twitter app from their phone, was so surprised to find out that it's been good. I'm just kind of working down on pretty much all the scrolling apps. Yeah, I did that after the Super Bowl. It felt great.
Wow,
I can get there on desktop, but I just need to make my phone a little harder to use. And so, like, Instagram's on the chopping block. We're taking some Threads has been gone for months, and we're kind of picking one away at a time, you know.
Good for you.
But I heard via Tucker is like, man, I can't believe there are people blaming DeMarco Murray for Oklahoma's running game. And I was like, sorry, there are people upset by this hire. I get the feeling now, scrolling through a little bit, that that's more of the minority opinion. But I'm excited about this. I'll tell you why in a second. Nate, let's start with you here. What do you make of the Chiefs going with DeMarco Murray as their new running backs coach?
Yeah, he's the new running backs coach. We don't necessarily even have to say reportedly. This concludes most of the major openings on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the coaching staff. A lot of people wanted, outsiders, not retreads of the Andy Reid tree. So this is another example of that with DeMarco Murray. I get the sense, too, that if Dylan McCullough is going to stay in Vegas, and, I know there were some rumblings about Deuce Staley, that I don't think picked up nearly as much as the Chiefs obviously making the point to talk to the Raiders, their arch rivals running back coach, in an attempt to woo him back home, in essence. So by getting DeMarco Murray, this is someone who has played running back in the NFL, which I think for a lot of people was like prerequisite number one. Did you play the position? Were you good at playing the position? Did you have a worthwhile career, right? Those are all the things we could sort of track back to Eric Bieniemy and his success as his own running back coach when he started with the Minnesota Vikings after, spending a year with Andy Reid in 1999. So DeMarco Murray has hit all those points. To Matt Derrick's credit, yes, he is considered jumping to the NFL because he had obviously good success in the NFL. And I think, I think this has been reported, but it's understandable. There's already former players from Oklahoma who are on the roster. If Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid call you with the potential of working with Patrick Mahomes and whoever is going to be the new starting running back of the Kansas City Chiefs, you can make an impact pretty quickly. So it's a very alluring prospect for him. And so it makes total sense why he would be willing to make the jump and make the jump now. I know we sort of texted with Tucker and I sort of alluded to the fact that people were not thrilled about all this. Although it is funny that there are, I guess, some draft analysts that think Jeremiah Love, who is a legitimate potential top 10 pick running back from Notre Dame, his comp is DeMarco Murray, or one of his comps is DeMarco Murray. There's obviously free agency that's even ahead of the draft, but it was surprising to see that, like, okay, you wanted an outside voice, you wanted someone with NFL experience, even though they haven't coached yet in the NFL. You wanted someone to bring maybe new ideas, and until proven otherwise, DeMarco Murray appears to, fulfill all those prerequisites. And yet there was a decent amount of fans, at least online, that were like, well, Oklahoma hasn't been the best team, or Oklahoma hasn't been really good since they've made the transition to the SEC. How much of he is part of that? How much of it is the overall head coaching change? That was somewhat surprising to see. But hey, if Oklahoma Sooner fans are thrilled that he's left, there must be some validity to it. But I don't know what better option the Chiefs are going to have if Dylan McCullough wasn't going to leave the Raiders to rejoin the Chiefs.
I'm going to just sneak in with a couple of the other context things here, Seth, and then come to you with it, but also just straight from Matt Derrick here. He said, interesting that Demarco Murray draws the blame for OU's run game and not the 2 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators in 6 years running 2 air raid schemes and 2 spread schemes. I think, I know we've talked a ton about positional coaches, and I think that we've talked about it specifically on this show in ways that I feel good about, that I feel like have been responsible and reasonable. The idea that you'd be like, yeah, Oklahoma just hasn't gotten it done in the SEC, that's the running backs coach's fault, is just like a weird line of thought. It seems like it's giving him a whole lot of credit for an offense that he wasn't like anywhere near in charge of. And to your point there, Nate, the reason that I like this with DeMarco Murray and I like the Chad O'Shea hire in different ways. You said, hey, like one of the real prerequisites here is, did you play this position before? I would ask, have you played or coached this position for a number of years before you got here? Chad O'Shea's been coaching receivers for 20 years, and DeMarco Murray has been a running back or been coaching running backs for 20 years. You're going back, obviously back to the beginning of his time playing the position. So for me, Seth, I'm not just blindly going, oh, yes, running back. He can definitely coach running backs. But he did coach them, not at the NFL level, but at a high SEC level in Oklahoma. He's been a running backs coach who also, it sounds like some of the vitriol might be that he's got kind of a hard ass mentality that people were thrilled to have back with Eric Bieniemy.
Guess who interviewed him, guys?
Well, this is the thing. If you're not 100% sure that DeMarco Murray is an absolute 100% running backs coach at the NFL level right now, let him be the first guy under Eric Bieniemy and see how that goes. Because we all know Eric Bieniemy is a certified top shelf NFL running backs coach. I just think that makes a ton of sense. So I don't know. I'm fully bought in on this, Seth. Is there any reason not to be?
From my perspective, no. We don't know enough about exactly what he was and wasn't doing. Like, some people are like, oh, players didn't develop under him. What does that mean? I always ask, like, what does that mean? Like, unless you can
and
point
got kids
to
who were recruited at 16 and 17 years old.
Yeah. If you wanted to me, it's so easy to look at stuff. They were running, again, like what you talk about, the type of offense they're running isn't super conducive to a lot of different things, but you've got some spread stuff there that'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table. I just like that he's an outside hire. I like that he's played the position and coached the position.
Right.
That's probably too low a standard, but here we are. I mean, and that to me, the biggest thing when they brought back Bieniemy was my concern that they were just going to try to run everything back and not have new voices in the room. Well, now of your position coaches, 2 of them are not only new position coaches, but are outside hires. That matters. And because now
at 2 of the biggest skill positions that you can have in terms of a transition, to your point, Seth.
Right. And so that's what, when you think about who's in the room with an offensive coaching staff, right? You have the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and then you have the position coaches, and you've got passing game coordinators, assistants. They've got a bunch of things. But the main voices in the room are the head coach and the OC, of course, and the position coaches. And so, okay, you've got the O-line coach, the receivers coach, the tight ends coach, the running backs coach. Like, half of those voices are new. And that's a big, big deal, and I'm happy about that. I don't know enough about him as an actual coach to judge one way or another, but neither do the people that are saying stuff. And that's, Browns fans were like saying stuff about Chad O'Shea, and then it's like, well, I'm listening to Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman say really good things about Chad O'Shea. So I don't know. I mean, the reality is anytime that your team isn't having success in a certain area, the first thing that you're going to go to, especially at the collegiate level, is the coaching.
Right. I do, again, I think I referenced this maybe in Tuesday's show, but again, like NFL Films and AMC did this whole, I guess mini documentary series that came out a couple weeks ago on the 49ers. And one of the most fascinating things about Bill Walsh is he should have been the Cincinnati Bengals coach in like the mid 1970s. when the West Coast offense was actually starting to be permeating throughout the league before he actually perfected it in San Francisco. And it was Paul Brown who was like, this guy stinks, and would tell it to anybody in the league, and forced, obviously, Bill Walsh, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, to continue his career at Stanford before he was hired as the San Francisco 49ers coach. So this stuff has been going on for generations, where it's like, well, who's really the mastermind? Who's really a good coach? Why are they a good coach? Well, I don't like him because, like, you know, maybe he had too much of a say, or, you know, really was it his ideas or was it somebody else's ideas? Like, this stuff has been going on about any coach who's ever been hired from one place to another, about somebody saying, well, I'm not so sure. Look at the production of Oklahoma running backs. And it's like, okay, but we're dealing with pros now. And Demarco Murray was a pro, like a pro's pro. And you would hope that he's learned something and can, in some ways, and this is, I guess, to his benefit, can relate to a younger player right now than maybe even someone other than like Eric Bieniemy, who's looking at it from a big picture standpoint, given his age and his wisdom and experience. So you want to, you know, blend those things together. But this is not the first time, not going to be the last, where part of people are like, why is it DeMarco Murray? Why isn't it Deuce Staley? Why isn't it, you know, Dylan McCullough? Versus people that are like, okay, let's see what he can provide, and let's see if his ideas or if his skill level and expertise in his own experience can be beneficial for the Chiefs. And again, he doesn't have a high bar to clear, right? Again, as I said before, they're going to have a new starting running back, and the running back coach last year, as we've said before, was underwhelming. So it's not like he has to go leaps and bounds to have a successful first year in Kansas City.
Few other interesting things here, Nate. You mentioned like the relatability of it all. DeMarco Murray's final year in the league was Kareem Hunt's first year in the league. He entered the league in 2017. Murray's final year with Tennessee was in 2017. He only played 7 years. It was only, you know, you're an NFL running back. That's an unbelievable thing. But it felt like he was going to be able to do that for even longer than he did. And that 2014 season was unbelievable. He had almost 400 carries for almost 1,900 rushing yards. And then on the OU thing here, hat tip to Tucker, and Matty Lane has tweeted this all out yesterday morning, actually. I didn't see it. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I deleted the Twitter app from my phone. I did listen to yesterday's edition of the KC Laboratory, which is also excellent. They cover a lot of running back stuff as well that we'll talk about some on our side here in a minute. But as this news was coming around, they were able to hit it last night. Here's what Matty's laid out regarding the OU fan disdain for Murray. 2020 gets the best version of Stevenson and McGowan flashes before off-field issues. 2021, Brooks returns from injury and still rocks. 2022 gets the best out of Gray. 2023, Sawchuk emerges to his best season. 2024, bad year but nightmare offense. 2025, freshman Blaylock and sophomore Robinson in the rotation. Walker's the only player who left and got better, which was just volume. And Ott didn't do anything for OU, and it sounds like there was something about that relationship that wasn't working. Again, maybe not just the coach. That's all from Matt Lane. I just think it adds up, man. And again, like Nate, Seth mentioned it too. Of hey, when you're doing outside ideas, and outside voices and faces and all of that, I'm not expecting Chad O'Shea or DeMarco Murray to bring a system evolution to Andy Reid's offense. Like that's not the job in this case. But I do think you have experienced, fresh eyes coming into the room. If they see something that doesn't add up, they can say something about it. In addition to just getting the most out of your players, which no one could argue that the running backs and wide receivers coaches last year were able to do.
Correct.
Well, Tucker points out also that Ott declined before he ended up transferring to OU also. So again, maybe not just that. Go ahead, Seth.
That's actually all I was going to say. You know, Tucker D. Franklin, the D stands for provides really valuable information during a podcast.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I didn't start with the D, but you got there.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is abusing that bit, which again, you know, we've talked about this recently. That probably doesn't say good things about me.
Well, you know
moving
what?
on.
I think you should go ahead and take this time in this little break, Seth. Go ahead and think about that fact. Maybe go crush 50 to 100 push-ups, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the running back and wide receiver rooms from a player perspective. We'll do that next.
Yay!
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s. And my husband, Alan, and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
I think Seth forgot we had a shorter break, and so he's presumably pumping iron right now. Which does mean that I'll introduce the bit and then he'll come back and I'll be like, so Seth, we're talking about the running backs and wide receivers, but just so everyone knows, we do see a little bar on our screens that show like how much of the break has happened and then how much longer until it comes back and kind of estimate from that visual cue. Seth doesn't, apparently.
Start of the show.
I wonder if, there we go. Hey, Seth. Hey, welcome back, man. Welcome back. We were just about to start the second half of the show.
I'm sorry. I was asking Jazz why am I about to explain this to you? Like,
I don't know. It's still, it's just another way of preventing us from the next topic.
Keep going. You and Jazz.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Seth needs to be held accountable.
That's a great point. Seth, I'm going to need 10 push-ups. I'm going to need 10 push-ups and I'll ask you about the running backs.
Sorry, I thought you wanted me to do something hard.
15.
30.
150. Push-ups until the show's over. Seth, Nate and I are going to take it from here. Put us in the 2 box. I'm kicking him out. You can come back when you're good and sweaty. No, I'm sorry. He can come back. I'm sorry, Tucker. I didn't really need the 2 box, but I needed Seth to believe that I was really going to kick him out.
Yeah. Dang it.
You've done 0 push-ups, Mr. Every push-up is so easy.
Yeah, it seemed hard.
You already held us hostage for about 30 seconds of the start of this segment. I'll sit here for another 30.
No, I'm really sorry. I really
go push the ground away from you 10 times.
Okay, fine. You know what? I'm gonna go do push-ups.
Accountability, or I'm gonna cuss. If he doesn't do the push-ups, I'm gonna cuss on the podcast. I know that's worse.
Chill! I knocked over a space heater.
What?
He said he knocked over a space heater. Now he's in the corner of the thing doing that. Okay, so is that 1? Was that 2 push-ups and a fire hazard?
I may have knocked over a space heater. Oh, could you guys see me?
Yes.
Just barely. Yes. Just barely.
Oh, man. You know what? How was my form, everyone? I mean, I'm trying to get those elbows, trying to get those elbows down, right? Because I wrecked my shoulders. I was trying to do at least 3,000 push-ups a month. Well, when you do them straight out, and you apparently just destroy your shoulders, which was great. I wish I'd known that because for about 3 months, I literally couldn't do 1 push-up.
Your rotator cuff got cuffed up?
Maybe. I think you said 10 was too easy, and then I think you did 2 and knocked over a space heater.
I did knock over a space heater. I'm not going to do 15 push-ups or 30
I said
push-ups.
10, and you were like, that's too easy for me. And I thought we were doing a little yes and.
Yeah, you overpromised and then very much underdelivered.
Very much. Yeah, I just thought he was gonna throw him down. All right, hold on. Here we go. Full screen again.
He's
taking the hoodie off.
Look at those.
All I can see is socks and
yes. 3, 4, 5. I feel like I'm at a Texas A&M football game. 7, 8, 9. 10.
No, he's just playing with you. He's just playing with his food.
Toying with us.
Just for that?
Just playing with your food, Seth. I just felt like that accountability is important. If we want the Chiefs to be accountable, we have to hold ourselves accountable as well. So
absolutely. I was going to threaten to do the rest of the show in this white beater, but I can't do it. I got to put my sweatshirt on.
That's up to you, man. It's not a threat; it's a promise. I feel like we're gonna get extra donations if you leave the shirt off.
Just don't beat anybody while you have it on.
Yeah, no, just keep it. That was my fault. I didn't mean to clip that
there
one.
are actual running backs in free agency. In particular, one. Go ahead, Josh.
No, I'd love to know who your one is. Look, the thing that Seth wrote about on, I guess it might have been on Monday. We talked about it Tuesday. Was the things you could learn from the Seahawks and their Super Bowl run, and I just wanted to have that be a little excuse since Seth wrote about, hey, running backs, you've at least got to raise the floor on your running back room. You don't have to spend all the money in the world to get the best one, but you can't be incompetent. But also, you need a number one wide receiver, an X receiver that the Chiefs just don't seem to have right now. So the larger conversation is I'm curious where you guys kind of prioritize that. But Nate, why do you say one running back in free agency?
Yeah, I think Chiefs fans should be comfortable with one running back being the clear top target, perhaps the favorite if this player gets to free agency. And you always have to remind people that, like, just because someone's a free agent doesn't mean they actually get to free agency. We saw that, last year with Trey Smith. We saw that last year with Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton, ladies and gentlemen, did not get to free agency. The Chiefs signed him before free agency truly began. But I think when the playoffs began, there were two candidates. And because this player played so well in the playoffs and was a Super Bowl MVP, I'm not sure how viable it is for the Chiefs to get to Kenneth Walker, because I'm not sure Kenneth Walker is going to get to free agency. He has proven that he can be a lead back. Obviously, we know Charbonnet will come back from injury. He has all the incentive to want to return because he helped the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. We've seen this a number of times where, pivotal free agents, like I think about, Mike Evans after the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Mike Evans was a big free agent. He did not get to free agency. So I think that's a real possibility for Kenneth Walker, which leads us to the guy the Chiefs were interested in during the season, a guy I think that he was interested in the Chiefs, and his name is Breece Hall. And everything rides on Breece Hall and whether or not he gets a free agency. Now, there's been some speculation, if people haven't heard already, there's been speculation that perhaps the New York Jets could put the transition tag on Breece Hall as a way to sort of try to muddy up the waters in terms of his return, or at least getting some return on investment for him being a free agent. Now, are the Jets going anywhere? No. We don't even know who their quarterback is, okay? So it's not really in Breece Hall's best interest to be placed on the transition tag, obviously. But if he gets to free agency, I believe that's who the Chiefs, from a skill position standpoint, should target first. That's who they should give first priority. So as of right now, I would say you take care of Travis Kelce before free agency begins. That would be post-combine in a couple weeks. Once free agency begins, you push all your chips, theoretically, because you already had to create cap space by then. I know there are a number of people on Twitter who are very smart, and I can't shout everybody out, but everybody's been very good about here's how the Chiefs can create cap space, or here's how the Chiefs can move on from certain veterans to have money available for the start of free agency. So that shouldn't be an issue. You put all your chips, put all your chips in front of Breece Hall and say, here, like, take them. Yes, Jake Dennis is from Wichita, and I think Breece Hall has already started to think about the possibilities of where his career could be next. So again, that is in the Chiefs' favor. And I know there's other running backs that could fit the Chiefs system, but in terms of a true number one running back, to wherefore, and I know some people are saying this already, to where you don't have to feel like you have to fall in love with Jeremiah Love, right? If you have Breece Hall as your veteran number one running back, and you could use that number 9 pick and the 40th pick elsewhere down the road in the draft. So I think that's how Chiefs fans should view this. It was lovely to see what Kenneth Walker did in the postseason, but because of his success, he may not be actually able to be acquired by the Chiefs, because I'm not so sure he's going to get to free agency.
Seth, I'm kind of in the headspace where would have a really hard time with Jeremiah Love at 9. It doesn't seem like there's another running back in the next couple of rounds that would be terribly exciting as a second or third round kind of grade. It's a weird draft class that way. So I kind of find myself being in a place where, yeah, you know what? In a vacuum, I'd probably pay Breece Hall. I like Travis Etienne. I also feel like he might be the next guy that kind of seems to fit the mold there. But the problem is,
I'm not sure he's getting a free agency, kids.
Fair enough. I mean, and I guess there's a question about Hall too. I have found myself, kind of to my surprise, thinking, yeah, you know what? I think Breece Hall, just pure free agent money, not having to trade and extend him, I think I'd be down for that. The problem is that is still a non-renewable resource right now, and the Chiefs have a lot of other places to fill. So before we shift over to the wide receiver side, we've talked about the D-line plenty. No one's forgetting about the defensive line. Where do you stand on that idea of, okay, maybe Breece Hall becomes the highest paid running back of this offseason cycle?
There is no possibility that you're going to get a wide receiver that is of a similar caliber that Breece Hall is running back, right? You're just not going to get it. That is not the way the NFL works right now. I think we've reached a point. And we'll see what happens, because the way the NFL broke this season might have shifted things back a little bit, because people are always really happy to return to old habits. Because of the way the NFL is shifting, and we talked about that on Tuesday, in terms of being more running back friendly and it mattering a little more whether your running back is poor, average, good, or great, that matters a little more than it did in 2021, because defenses are playing lighter. They're playing the pass. All this stuff, right, that they're doing to counteract the pass game has made a little more vulnerability to the run game. So the pendulum's swinging. Now, is it ever going to swing back all the way? Of course not. There's just no way. Not with how good quarterbacks are now. At least I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe all defensive coordinators start copying what they're seeing McDonald do, and suddenly we're like, my gosh, we're going back to the Stone Age. But right now, the contracts for running backs reflect the flavor of the NFL that was reacting to the 2017 through 2021 or 2022 era. And this is, maybe this is boring to people. It's interesting to me, because you're trying to find market inefficiencies. And right now, I think there's a bit of a market inefficiency in how cheap running back contracts have become. For a while, it was way too much money. You're paying running backs more than elite receivers. Now elite receivers make like twice as much. Correct. And now you've reached a point to where it's like, okay, is an elite receiver worth more than an elite running back? Yes. Can you talk me into having a top 10 running back for a third of the price of a top 20 wide receiver? Is a market inefficiency I can get on board? Yes. And this might be the offseason to do it if the NFL trends keep going the way they go.
Right. And Breece Hall has demonstrated, unlike Kenneth Walker, he can be an extension of the passing game as a receiving back out of the backfield.
Right. And that's a big deal in terms of what the Chiefs like, regardless of some of the mystifying ways that they execute that over the last few years. But whatever. There's a market inefficiency there that I think the Chiefs would be wise to take advantage of. You can probably, if he hits free agency, you can probably get Breece Hall for $12 million a year.
Some of these estimates are coming lower than that, by the way. The Spot Track PFF estimate is a little bit under 11. It's about 10 and a half.
So that's barely more than what you paid Hollywood Brown to be what?
It's $4 million less than they have estimated for Rashid Shaheed.
Correct.
And that's just the nature of the game right now. And I like Rashid Shaheed. Like he added a lot. I like Tyquan Thornton. Like you legitimately can get a really good running back for a fraction of the cost of a good wide receiver. That's a smart way to spend your money. And then what you do is you invest draft capital on the positions that you're never going to get blue chip guys, like defensive end or wide receiver. And that's all due respect to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. They were good draft prospects, but not blue chip ones. That's why they were blue chip wide receiver prospects get taken top 15.
Top 15. Yeah. Yep.
And so it would be wise of them. Honestly, my dream offseason would be the Chiefs just go all in on getting a blue chip prospect at 3 different positions. And it would be, you sign Breece Hall, You trade for Brian Thomas Jr. You offer that really nice second rounder you've got and like a fifth rounder next year. And then you draft Bane number 9. If that happened, I wouldn't care what else happened in the rest of the offseason, because what they need to do right now is add blue chip talent. I am all in. I think it was Seren that said this when we were talking about they need more, like this having like okay guys all over the roster works really well when Chris Jones is the very best in the league at his position, when Travis Kelce is the very best in the league and the very best to ever do it at his position, and your top end talent is so much better. Now it's like, well, we're probably not going to be able to have a foundation of like 3 Hall of Fame, better than anyone, almost like Chris Jones isn't better than anyone to ever do it, but he's at the peak of his powers, elite pass rusher. And then you've got Travis Kelce. People really are going to look back in 20 years, by the way, and really understand what we got to watch with Travis Kelce. This is Jerry Rice stuff. This is not it's never going to happen again.
Right. Well, it's Jerry Rice. It's eclipsing Jerry Rice in the postseason, which is like impossible. It's
impossible to do.
And secondly, it also informs us that, man, Jason Witten was out here till the wheels literally were off. And he might eclipse Jason Witten next year, in terms of like just volume of receptions, which is, again, mind-boggling in a pass-friendly, era of the NFL.
Absolutely. And that's where I think it makes sense. Where they need to restore talent on the roster is blue chip talent, because as of now, your blue chip talent on the roster is 31-year-old Chris Jones, obviously Pat Mahomes.
He'll be 32 in June.
He'll be 32. So 32-year-old Chris Jones, based on his play last year, where you never know, Mahomes, and 37-year-old Travis Kelce if he comes back. And in terms of blue chip, because Kelce's his blocking was better this last year, but he's 37. He's still a top 5 tight end. Is that blue chip?
Crazy.
It's insane. But you no longer, and then you've got Trent McDuffie, who's there.
Yeah.
But they need more of that across the roster. And I think it makes sense to build a roster full of good dudes, but you don't need any more blue chippers when your 3 best players are first ballot Hall of Fame level guys. Now, so then you get a bunch of red chips because you can build around that. Well, now you've got Mahomes as your most surefire, absolute neon glowing blue chip. Okay, so let's add to that. Let's take shots at blue chips and guys that can either create or take away explosive plays, because that's the name of the game in the current NFL. So I would add a running back first, because you can add a really, 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 really good running back for half the price of a solid wide receiver.
Here's my question for both you fellas and the audience. I really appreciate how Seth went about this offseason, okay? Breece Hall, you trade, because again, this man don't even think Jawan Jennings is worth it, y'all. He's going above that. Thomas Bryant Jr. Okay, all right, Bryant Thomas Jr. And then obviously getting Ruben Bain with number 9. You got to give up Trent McDuffie, though. Are you okay with that?
So I've got to trade Trent McDuffie for Brian Thomas Jr.
No. I'm saying you got to trade Trent McDuffie anyway. And I know people have already speculated this, and this makes total sense. Given where he's from, you would trade Trent McDuffie to the Rams for additional picks, because people have talked about, like, the Chiefs need more draft picks than what they have right now, or a surplus than what they had.
But they also need more blue chip players, and so we're trading away one of the blue chip players, like we talked about on Thursday,
or a very much a purple chip. As we discussed on Tuesday, blue chip in the slot gets purplish reddish on the outside. But again, you got to pay that player $30 million. So it's either you're trading him. There's a lot of different factors. You're trading him to the Rams. You get a surplus of picks that can help you, again, try to identify maybe, again, more bluish, purplish chips players in the draft this year or in future years. And then you get absolute hits with, Hall, Thomas, and Bay. Because to get something largely of that success, you will have to give up something.
I don't want to trade Trent McDuffie. I'd just as soon have my cake and eat it too. Thank you very much.
I mean, they spent a lot of money on cake last offseason. Like I think that's the thing of it with McDuffie. That's like it's what we talked about. It's what we talked about last. Like I don't know. This horse has been pretty well bruised up. But like when you pay Nick Bolton that money, that's money that can't go to Trent McDuffie because that money's going to Nick Bolton. So we could have had a different conversation, but this is, I mean, you pay Trey Smith, George Karlaftis, and Trent McDuffie, and Nick Bolton. None of those three guys did Seth mention in his blue chip player checkoff. Now, we weren't talking about the O-line, and we'll see where those guys all land, but like, when you pay Nick Bolton all of that, you could have, if you said, hey, Nick Bolton has to walk, but you can extend Trent McDuffie and then do this whole blue chip plan.
And you could have, and again, if you didn't pay, again, this is all revisionist history. I understand that. But if they had chosen to just let Nick Bolton get to free agency, they didn't even let him get to free agency, kids. If they had just let him get to free agency and see what his market is, okay, you could decide to let him walk. You could decide to maybe match that deal and say, hey, pick us over this, team, same dollar for dollar. If they had done that and it would went a different direction, you could have paid Trent McDuffie ahead of Derek Stingley Jr., who, guess
and
what?
That's not revisionist for us because we were having this conversation back then.
Because guess what? He was in the same draft class. So again, the timelines could be similar. He could have been given the exact same contract as Derek Stingley Jr. last offseason before he ever played a snap. Again, if they had chosen to not ensure that Nick Bolton never got to free agency. Just a
talk
thought.
About something else, Seth, or do you want to follow up on any of that?
It's I would say hindsight's 2020, but
correct.
We were saying it at the time. We were talking about this at the time.
There were plenty of people in the moment that were saying, I think, yeah, if I could go back.
You don't have to say other people. You can take
we
talked about this.
We were
got mad at
about it.
People got mad at us for talking about Nick Bolton too much. I'm not gonna back down like we weren't having this conversation a year ago.
I don't think there's any way Nick Bolton would have gotten offered $15 million a year on the open market. I just don't think there's any way. And maybe he's a useful player, but I just don't think there's any way. And so, because now you've also got Leo, and he's really important to some of the gap stuff that Spags likes to do against the run. So I guess to me, yeah, you've got to make some decisions. The long-term stuff, I do think McDuffie is an interesting decision. It's just he's a guy that you can build that interior of the defense around, and that's tough, man. That's tough. But I would think, and there's some commenters saying this kind of facetiously, I think that if the Chiefs were naming blue chip players, I think they would name Nick Bolton. I think there's just a difference in how Spags views his contributions and how some of us view them. But
can we just remind people? I just want to remind people because I just wanted to look it up just to make sure I got the number right based on the contract, the fully guaranteed, the total guarantees, the average years. Now, to the Chiefs' credit, Nick Bolton is the youngest player, but he a top 5 paid linebacker. And so the question is, a year removed from the contract, is Nick Bolton close? Because I'm not sure I don't think he's a top 5 player at his position, but his salary says he's a top 5 player. He is the 5th highest paid linebacker in the league.
I've got one curveball on the Nick Bolton thing, and one reason that you can absolutely pay Trent McDuffie, because Nick Bolton doesn't have to be on this team next year. He obviously will be in 2026. I'm saying beyond this upcoming season, of course he's here, with a $19 million cap hit, 19.25. And the deal that they extended him to, and this was for me the kind of the copium at the time, the deal the Chiefs gave is a 2-year deal for Nick Bolton, essentially. Because year 3, in 2027, he's got a $14 million base salary that is not guaranteed at all, according to Over the Cap here. So if they cut Nick Bolton in 2027, when he'd be 27, by the way, still relatively young for this player.
Yep.
it would be a $15 million cap savings and 4.25 in dead cap from the bonus that was prorated already. Last year was the lowest his cap hit will be on this deal. He's, of course, going to be on the roster in 2026. But even if McDuffie has a bigger cap hit kicking in 2027, you could do that away from Bolton's cap hit if he's not here. Now Karlaftis will be, and some of those other deals are a little harder to move. But that is the one little wrinkle in the Bolton contract that even I kind of gloss over sometimes, is that there is flexibility in 2027. Not that they want to do anything with it.
And I know some people in the comments, and I really appreciate this, people saying like, okay, man, if it's really 30 million for Trent McDuffie, I mean, that seems like a lot. And to your point, it is. Derek Stingley Jr. makes $30 million a year.
Right. And that's the number that's going to get talked about.
That's where we're, and I've always said this before, that's where we're starting, you know?
Right. And it's worth noting, the big thing to always keep in mind, it's the same question. It's the one we're asking with Bolton, but I think we're asking a different way. And I know we've taken this kind of a different direction, but the question becomes, what would they get on the open market? It's not really, teams are not necessarily paying players for past performance, or even in a way based on what they think they're going to do in the future. They are to an extent, right? Like, we're willing to pay this amount because we think you'll do in the future. But what they offer, what they know they have to offer, is based entirely on what they project them to get in the open market. And they have a lot of people that work on that stuff. They're pretty good at it. I would argue in the case of the Chiefs, they made a decision with Bolton. Fair enough. With Trent McDuffie, if he hits the open market, no franchise tag, he does get more than Stingley gets, because watch the Rams defense in the playoffs.
Woo!
Watch some of the things. Like, I was watching Seattle's defense and I was like, man, McDonald would have fun with Trent McDuffie. Like, a lot of fun. He really is. Guys like him that are complete lockdown corners in the slot, can play well on the boundary, are animals against the run, and exceptional blitzers who rarely miss time. Exceptional tackler. I mean, I remember watching in 2022, look at the Chiefs splits before and after he came back his rookie year.
From the hamstring. Yep.
He is a difference maker. And so a difference maker at corner at this point who can do all the things he does, which fits the modern NFL. It used to be, you know, if you're good in coverage, you don't really got to tackle that well. Now, with what teams are doing,
everybody's got to tackle.
Yep. And that's one area where Spags has kind of remained ahead of the curve. All their corners can tackle. So I would just say that's he's going to get that on the open market. So the Chiefs, if they want to keep him long-term, they have to pay him that. So now they have to figure out, okay, this is the last year of cheap control. It's the 5th-year rookie option. This is where his value is going to be highest, because if you're trading him on a franchise tag, that brings the value down because it's less a year of control. So I get all that. I still just struggle with the idea of trading a blue chipper, but if you don't think you can extend him long-term, now is the time to trade him. You've got a guy you like in the slot in Roland Wallace, and I hear myself as I'm saying it.
He didn't play over Shamari Connor there very often, just to be clear.
Right.
Like, you say they have a guy you like in the slot, Seth. They have a guy that we have talked about liking in the slot at times, but he was there for a whisper compared to how much time Shamari Connor's been that guy. I mean, not facetious at all. That's Shamari Connor's spot.
It looked like it was starting to tick up, and then he got hurt.
Right.
So that's a projection, and projections are dangerous. But they've shown they can develop corners. So I would get why you do that. But man, that would be like a signal of like, we're hitting a hard reset roster-wise, which maybe they need to do. I think a lot of people would argue that the time to do a hard roster reset was prior to the 2025 season. But here we are.
The one issue I have with that is just that I don't think it feels like a hard reset because you're losing one of the small handful of players who really, really matter. You're not getting 2 first-round picks or a top 15 pick or getting $40 million off the books. Like, I'm not trying to kick Chris Jones out of town, but like if you're moving Chris Jones this offseason, that's a real reset because he's got a $45 million cap hit, right? I don't know, and they wouldn't even be able to move. Don't ask me about it. I'm not there right now.
I don't think. And by the way, that's not happening.
But if you were gonna say like, yeah, they're going to switch up Mahomes' deal to free up all this cap space now. They're going to move Chris Jones and figure out how to get a bunch of that cap space off the books. Trade Trent McDuffie, bring in all these extra picks. Okay, sure. Travis Kelce doesn't come back, so there's not another $10 million or so going to him. Then I'd be with you. I know we talked about this on Tuesday, but trading Trent McDuffie for, if you get 28 overall from the Rams, I think that's where they're picking. If you get a late first round pick, you're getting $13.6 million off the books and a late first round pick. That's not a reset. That's Travis Kelce's salary and the first round pick that you usually have. It's an adjustment, but even then it's not a hard reset if that's the only hard reset. To your point, Seth, if you do that with a bunch of your highly paid players, or you really let some guys walk, then it's different. If it was the Sauce Gardner deal, or if it was a top 15 pick, it would be easier to sell me, I think, on that value. But unless you're Sauce Gardner, apparently, or unless you're talking to the Colts, you're almost never going to get the actual value for the player you're trading away. Because that's not how the contracts work with the draft picks.
Correct.
Yeah, you're really not, because what you're getting back is also cap space and youth, and teams know that. So you're rarely going to get that level of production in return. So you're really trying to hit a fine line. So yeah, I should have, the way I said reset, I probably said that a little bit poorly.
No, I think you're saying it right for the way most people are talking about it. I just don't think it's going to end up being that much of a rejuvenation.
Right.
Because I think if you make that move, you're expecting the secondary to take a step back this year. You're trading Trent McDuffie and then giving Brian Cook that money. It's like, well, okay, that's rearranging some things, but it's not like 6 new starters. Anyway, along those lines, though, Nate, we talked about the secondary some earlier in the week. I want to hit the defensive line real quick, because you wrote over on ESPN.com a little bit about the Chiefs' defensive line. Chris Jones tweeting about how the Chiefs will be back in the Super Bowl next year. Good to have that guarantee. I'll just go ahead and pencil them right back in. Anything stand out to you there? People want to read it. Of course, they can over on it's the letters, just to make sure you write it down if you need to. It's ESPN.com. It's a little I think they're based in the Northeast, a Northeastern media company.
Yeah.
I think it's cute that Nate
worldwide.
I think it's cute that Nate's still doing that cute little blogging thing.
He's an entrepreneur. He's trying to help get this little company off the ground, and I respect that. But you wrote over there about the Chiefs' defensive line and how that is obviously a huge area of need. We've talked about it a bunch. We'll talk about it a ton more over the next couple of months. Did anything stand out to you kind of going through the research of that, or anything from those old Joe Cullen pressers or anything like that that stood out to you in looking ahead to 2026?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Joe Cullen, because interestingly enough, those are like our own one-on-one conversations like midway through the season last year.
Oh, awesome.
Because I thought at one point I was going to write about like, hey, this plan really isn't coming together, Joe. What happened? We never got around to it because there was so much other news going on, and I think Josh Simmons was absent at that point. So that sort of overtook some of the brainwidth I had at the time. But no, I went back and I looked at a bunch of things. As I said on Tuesday's show, just the third down conversion rates, it is still startling to me. And the amount of I know I didn't say this, I didn't write this in the story, but this was something I also looked at too, just like essentially removing, and I know you've talked about this too, Seth, removing Tershawn Wharton from the group kind of collapsed the entire group. And then the Chiefs sort of did it to themselves by, as we all know, taking away, not essentially retaining Mike Pennell, trading for Derek Nottie, only to re-sign Mike Pennell later in the year. Again, things I didn't even have to bring up in the story, but it's just, you just go through it and you're like, okay, so maybe the entire season hinged on Charles Omenihu. And then you realize, unfortunately, like a lot of players, and this is not Charles's fault, Charles has tried the best he can, but like he is human and he wasn't able to return to that 2023 form that we saw in the divisional round, in the championship round before his ACL tear, as part of that, amazing repeat. I hope people don't forget how impactful Charles Omenihu was in 2023 to allow the Chiefs to become repeat champions. All that to say is, if the Chiefs, and again, I don't think the Chiefs, as of right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you were to ask me, I don't think the Chiefs are trading Chris Jones. Chris Jones does not want to be traded. Financially, as we talked about before, even with Trent McDuffie, you might get even less in return for Chris Jones, even though he is already a certified future Hall of Famer. But if they are going to fulfill Chris Jones's words on Sunday, and that tells you how much it hurts and how much it pains him to be like, I'm really on the couch watching the Super Bowl, lead up, and this don't feel right. Because again, these guys are so used to competing at the highest level, and obviously trying to win championships. So the easiest way for the Chiefs to actually help Chris Jones is to actually find players to help Chris Jones. And to Seth's point, if that's Ruben Bay Jr., fantastic. I think the Chiefs will make an effort in free agency based on just the little things I'm hearing here and there, right? Nothing major, right? I've given you the name Breece Hall. I'm not sure I can give you a particular name yet in terms of free agency, spending and trying to woo someone. But I get the sense the Chiefs will try to do that again, based on just what I'm hearing in this very preliminary moments before free agency starts. Chris Jones has, again, maybe 1 to 2 very, very good seasons left in him. They are more than likely going to restructure his contract, which we all knew ahead of time. So finding 2 players this offseason. I included Boye Mafe. Actually, I should just give the names, right, Josh, so that people can be aware of it.
Yeah, if you still have it open, I
have it open.
My other computer. Okay.
So my colleague Adam Schefter, put it out there that the Chiefs, once it became clear that they weren't going to get Breece Hall, turned their attention to Boye Mafe, who was a above average backup for the Seattle Seahawks because they have been drafting so well. They could have Boye Mafe just come off the bench. Some other names that I put out there, again, this is very early. Jalen Phillips, who was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, he'll be a free agent. Again, if these players all make it to free agency. John Franklin Myers from the Denver Broncos. You should go and watch his film if you actually have some time. He was a very interesting player for the Broncos. And then defensive end Kwity Paye from the Indianapolis Colts. I know I had to look at where he was in the draft guide for the guys on the lab, but I'm very interested to see Kwity Paye kind of fits the Venn diagram of youth, prototypical size, could get him for a decent, not a balloon salary, but someone who could be relied upon on, the same amount of snaps as, say, Charles Omenihu last year, and perhaps could give you better production because he is younger. So those are just 4 names: Boye Mafe, Jalen Phillips, John Franklin Myers, and Kwity Paye, who are all going to be free agents, or at least going to be free agents. I believe. I don't think any of these guys are going to get franchise tagged or anything like that. So those are a few names. And so the Chiefs will try to do what they've done in the past, but they have to be more successful this year as to somehow finding a way to get Ruben Bay Jr. for Seth, and also acquiring somebody who could give you more production than Mike Dana or Charles Omenihu, who are unlikely to return for next season.
Seth, any of that jump out to you before we get out of here? I know we've talked about the defense a bit, and we'll talk about it a bit more in the weeks to come.
I agree with all of it, and I'm gonna chew on it for a bit, to the idea of needing 2 guys instead of just 1. Because if you need 2 guys instead of just 1, I think you got to ask yourself. And I like George Karlaftis, but if after you've paid someone $20 million plus a year, you still need 2 more guys. Now, to be fair, that's just something I'm going to think about, because it's do we need another guy, or do we need 2 dudes?
It'd be nice to have a dude and a guy.
Yeah, I could live with that.
I think that's probably the sensible way of looking at this. But we've seen it. Philadelphia had 6 very good, capable pass rushers 2 years ago. Seattle, in my opinion, had, again, 5 to 6 guys that you could line up and feel comfortable with. The Chiefs have 1.5.
I want to throw one question at you here from the comments right at the very end of the show, and Sean's been here all show. He said, if you could get the cap space cleared up, how do y'all feel about Trey Hendrickson? I'm gonna go cannonballing with my take here and just see if you guys agree or not. We haven't talked about Trey Hendrickson, I don't think. I'm not interested. Not for where the Chiefs are right now. He's 31, going on 32, coming off of a year of injuries, and he's gonna, if he is getting what he wants on the open market. I just don't think that's the space for the Chiefs to play in. I think you've already got a player over 30 making a huge amount of money on your defensive line. I just don't think even one of the higher paid guys who's younger, I don't know that you can play in that space because, like we talked about earlier, it's kind of the reason that I think we're all interested in Breece Hall. You can get a top 10 running back for $10 million. You're paying 30 to Trey Hendrickson for a couple of years, and that's just not. This team has to get younger and cheaper and more talented. You can't do that everywhere all the time, but in general, that would be a lot of money to give to an older player coming off an injury for my tastes.
I completely agree, and that's why the players I named are not 31,
right?
Like, and again, I think the Chiefs have a track record of not really signing that many guys to significant contracts or notable contracts who are 30 or older on the free agency market. I mean, they waited until training camp to sign Carlos Dunlap, right? I mean, so. I think that would be. I think those odds are pretty slim.
And again, he might be great next year and might be worth it for somebody else. I just don't think it adds up for where the Chiefs stand. Yeah. Seth, you nodded. You want to just say you agree with me and we can get out of here?
I've never agreed with anyone more in my life.
We've all had a good show today. Let's get it over with. We'll be back on Tuesday, of course. I'm sure there'll be some more things in the Chief of the North newsletter. Again, check out the little blog that Nate works with now, his side hustle over there at ESPN. And we'll have a couple editions of everything else with yours truly here on the KCSN YouTube channel Monday and tomorrow, Friday, and then Monday again. I got to talk twice by myself before I get to talk to Seth and Nate again. It really makes my bookends of the week just a misery until I can get to the joy of every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We'll be back to do a whole lot more of it just as soon as you're interested. There's always more podcasting to be done, and there's a whole lot of off-season. Nate, get us out of here.
Look, I enjoy listening to you talk for an hour, sir. Don't
Nate. Thank you.
Don't worry about me.
I'm gonna do some push-ups. I'm gonna take my shirt off. Actually,
don't worry about me. Now I did see a comment that they and hey, we all appreciate the super chats. Thank you, Lee.
I missed this.
You guys need to do an episode where the wives and mistresses join Only Weird Games, sir. I'm gonna need you to remove and mistresses because Seth, do you want to tell us something after all these push-ups, after all these biceps? I mean, you got mistresses, multiple.
Let me just tell you something. Nope.
So the real question here is, do you think that Lee was implying that one of us has multiple mistresses, right, or that we all have one? It's fascinating.
I want to think that he thinks someone's just collecting women left and right.
Well, Tucker doesn't host the show. I can't say that. He's engaged now. I can't say that.